down on this, and the trash trucks are going. So between the trash trucks and construction, looks like
Today we're very excited and honored to have Mr. Jim Cox, president of the Jim Cox Company, who will share with us what is a smart marketing within the context of the social media. Specifically, Jim examines how marketing in the hospitality industry is no exception to the far-reaching effects of social media. Indeed, that social media is having a tremendous impact on our industry, more so than in any other industry around us. He also examines how today's social media quickly changes our economy, the relationship with our guests, and in turn, our revenue resources. So we are expecting to have a wonderful program with Mr. Jim Cox. Thank you, Jim, for being here with us.
I was saving the seat for you. I had to ask him.
So, while sitting in MySpace, I'm suddenly tweeted. I attempted to get LinkedIn, but I was unable to access it, so I found myself using my Facebook password. I received an email from a colleague with 150 pictures from his recent vacation from Paris, but I could easily glide through the entire trip as he had everything posted on Flickr. I received an email from my nephew in Turkey that walked me right into a video on YouTube that allowed me to tour the hotel that he was staying at and his newly acquired camel. Is the neighborhood changing? Well, I think it is. Where is the neighborhood? Should we be in it? And how do we go about shouting it all out? While many hotels are entering the electronic social neighborhood, how is it best to explain to each other, to a hotel owner, to a general manager that may not be dealing with this on a day-to-day basis? How do we articulate it to a point of making it part of a sales strategy? Where does it belong? And where does it begin? And also, where does it end, if at all? Our featured speaker today is Jim Cox, and Jim's going to try and answer a few of these questions posed today. Throughout his 40-year career, Jim has created work that has been recognized for two reasons. One, outstanding creativity, and the second, impressive measurable results.
When I first spoke to Libby about coming and talking with everyone and sharing what some of my experience has been relative to social media, I labeled this speech flying at 30,000 feet and getting into the weeds, because what I keep seeing is this sort of conflict between technology and strategy. What is all this stuff, and what do I do with it, and how can it serve me, and how can it help me? So today, I'll try to share some ideas, and hopefully you'll gain some insights. This is a quote from a consultant to Microsoft. We're just trying to figure this thing out. And one of the reasons we're trying to figure this thing out is because this thing, by definition, is fluid. It's going to keep changing, it's going to keep evolving, and it's never going to stand still. And this thing has been happening for a very long time. One of the comments I shared with the table during lunch is, we're all human beings. We all live in a society. We all socialize. And socialization in the hospitality industry is integral to the hospitality industry. This industry is filled with people who are hospitable by nature. That's what I've observed over the last 25 years. We all share with each other. We all move around. We're all interconnected. And so now technology is evolving, and we're discovering how we can socialize through the use of technology. This evolution of the social web, this came from one of the experts at Forrester Research, and he was charting here how it has evolved going back to 1995. And he's talking about the era of social relationships. Well, that's very much a matter of an environment in which you just simply connect with people, and you share relationships. The social functionality is different kinds of networks and different kinds of groups in which you share different kinds of relationships. Business relationships in LinkedIn, social personal relationships, for example, on Facebook. This era of social colonization they're identifying that as something that's beginning to happen this year, is a result of the fact that people have multiple profiles in multiple environments, and they're maintaining, as Libby had pointed out, a presence in different places. And what's beginning to happen now is there's this colonization dynamic where people are beginning to surf the internet, and what they're taking with them is the circle of friends. So whenever they're encountering sites and looking at sources of information, they're able to look to their circle of friends to see what they think, who's experienced it, and what are their reactions. So more and more, this social interconnectivity is allowing them to look to the people that they trust, to affect and help them make their decisions. This era of social context has to do with the marketers being able to make more informed connections with the customers that they're seeking, to find a better fit between you and the people you depend upon for success. It's being more efficient and less wasteful. And one of the things that's coming out of the current economic situation is we can no longer function the way we have in the past. We have to go there. So back in '99, people went to the web, they got some content, they could look at it. Isn't that nice? Information. They were basically brochures on the computer and information. 10 years later, they not only access it, but they contribute, they edit, they share. They're talking, you're listening. Questions are being answered not so much by you, but by customers who are answering each other's questions. And those answers are carrying a lot more value than yours frequently. There's just a lot less control, a lot more engagement. Less control equals more engagement is what I was trying to say. So if you're not ready to give up some control within a community, then don't try to create one. If you try to run it, you will be rejected. If you're not prepared to hear all the answers that come back, don't ask the questions. I'll tell you one little story that comes to mind is there's a property in New York City called Casablanca. It's part of a 3-hotel group called HK. They launched a hotel in Times Square. One of the things they did when they launched it was they asked every guest when they left, would they please go to TripAdvisor and make a comment? Well, I checked last night. They're number 2 out of 427 hotels identified in New York City. They credited this little program, this tiny little effort through TripAdvisor, of all places, to put them right up there ranked among the best. 94% are excellent reviews. Now, they also have 11 that said the hotel was hideous. And they're there, and the consumer looks at that just like we do, and they see the reality of it. Nobody's perfect. Of course they make some mistakes sometimes. That makes them real. Oh, they're real. I can relate. That's what I want. I want reality. I think there's one of the last things I was going to say is I think there's lots of ways in which I'm seeing people in the industry embracing what social media is about. For example, on Sheraton, on their homepage, it starts off with "Welcome to our community," and it's populated with stories from their guests all over the world. A very simple little example of beginning to embrace a mindset that brings the consumer into the dialogue with the brand. I think that's a really nice example. So, anything else? Thanks.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you everyone for being here with us. And as we have learned today from Jim is that social media is just another way for us to really go and market our properties, hotels, and companies, and be able to use it to benefit us. And the example, 900% return, I think that is a good example that social media is working. So please go back and really apply what you learned today. And once again, please help us with our meeting evaluation. And thank you for being here with us, Jim. And we have a small token to say thank you. And we'll see you. By the way, Jim will be with us again at the September 2nd when we are doing the Hospitality Educational Conference. He'll be leading our social media breakout session. So, you know, the information was on your table. Please take it with you. And we look forward to seeing you in August with our program at the Downtown Marriott at Libby's Hotel on September 2nd. So drive safely, be cool, and we'll see you next month. Thank you for coming.